Good day, everybody. Connor McIver here. I wanted to do a follow-up on what I had mentioned this morning on one of our audio blogs about talking to you about people and other people in the business that are actually promising to sell your home in a prescribed amount of time, and if in fact they can't, then they'll purchase it. What's that all about? It's been coming about for a while now, but you can do a simple Google search that talks about specific time frames and agents promising to sell your particular home, or they will purchase it. What are the rules? What are the conditions? Well, it's able to be advertised. I don't know if it enters into false and misleading because they put that on the forefront, but then they have a huge amount of contracts and disclosures that accompany these sorts of contracts or these sorts of pitches. Now, the one thing that they also do is they also include verbiage in there within the contract that talks about confidentiality and you promising not to talk to anybody in the world about it. And then they follow that up with, hey, you might want to seek legal advice. So I don't know if you can or can't, but it's in there. Let's go over some of the conditions. And again, I found 99.9% of this stuff online, a lot of different sites. I also read a lot of the blog feeds about people's experiences with agents that operated in this manner. And some were great and some were horrible, but I'll let you be the judge. Just education is power, and it's important that people know methods of operation. So, again, I'll throw the disclaimer out there. This isn't everybody's mode, but this is a majority of the stuff that I read about this particular program. Also, here's some food for thought before I continue. Is any agent going to lose money on a deal? I don't think so. Again, there has to be something in it for all parties. You know, the seller wants to get the most for their home, and the seller wants their home to actually net the most money he possibly can. And that's with everybody. But the agent, again, they want to sell your home in a prescribed amount of time, and if they don't, they're going to purchase it. How much are they going to purchase it for? Food for thought. Here are some of the conditions that I found within these particular programs. There's different time frames. A lot of them are around 60 days. Some are 90 days. If, in fact, they don't sell it in that time, they will purchase it for equal or greater than the list price of your home. So they're going to, for less than the list price of your home. So that's the first thing that's built in. You cannot have it has to be all single-family residences, no REOs, which is real estate owned, no foreclosures, no short sales, bankruptcies, probates. Any property also that has negative equity, they don't go for it. They will not list it, which, of course, makes sense. If you can't sell it yourself with negative equity, how is somebody else going to do it and then buy it from you if they can't? Here's how the mechanics work. Apparently, they'll establish the fair market value, whatever that may be, and how they do that, like anybody else would, I think. Hopefully they would pull 3 months of inventory of sold properties, apples to apples, and they would put that down so they could get a look at what they sold for and the amounts. So that's your fair market value. You factor in the decline of maybe 2 to 5%, and there you have it, okay? So the fair market value is going to be something that's right at the last one sold within the last 3 months. That's how the appraiser is going to work. Or, in fact, it's 2 to 5% below that value. But anyway, that's fair market value. How it's built in there is the guarantee, they're making this guarantee, a lot of them, is 80% of that value. So they're whacking off another 20% and saying, okay, yeah, if we can't sell it in 59 days, for that figure, we'll buy it ourselves. Well, of course, because you'll make money in that regard. That's what I'm figuring out anyway. But again, I don't advertise this. I'm a novice at it. There might be something more than I see, but I wanted to throw this out to everybody so you could see and you can do your own research as well. Everything was talking about listing agreements for an entire year, 365 days, which if you love your agent, great, but if you don't, it's like being tied to a horse that's not moving or willing to help. If, in fact, you cancel or don't ascribe by any terms of the contract, you are going to be held for whatever expenses the agent incurred during the time that they had it listed, and also a 7% real estate fee. Yeah, a little confusing on that one too. I might not have read it right, but that's how I wrote it, and I think that's what they mean. All right, so here's one of the other rules. You must list at the agent's price, whatever the 80% of the fair market value. So that's number one. Number two, you're going to need to obey a structure, a reduction schedule set up by the agent. So a structured reduction schedule, you have to obey that. So if after the first 3 weeks there's no bites, then you're willing to drop at 10,000 and 10,000 and so on and so forth. So that's part of the, want to play the ball with this, that's part of the deal. If with all of that, if with all of those requirements met, they fail to sell your home to a third party, then they'll purchase it themselves. I was laughing when I read that. Why don't you, right at the door, as they're pitching this program, you should also ask, I need copies of your FICO scores, copies of your credit report, proof of funds to close, and also a pre-authorization or pre-approval letter from a lender. That's what we would ask for any buyer. If they're going to turn into a buyer, have a potentiality of turning into a buyer in any part of the process, hell, I'd want to get all the documents from them. And then also I wonder if you should get your own representation because now there's a conflict. Maybe, maybe not. There you go. Tongue-in-cheek some more. What else? Okay, so for the first 30 days with some of them, you as a seller have a right to reject any offer that comes in. But then after the first 30 days, the tables turn, and your agent can accept any offer they want to as long as it's at or close to the fair market value that was established. So the tables turn. Really don't have a choice. If you decide not to move forward in that regard, then everything gets wiped clean and starts at zero. But don't forget, there's still that clause in there that says, hey, you're going to still owe us whatever you owe us for the money that we spent up to this point. What else? Appraisal contingencies. That's in place, which makes sense. That's pretty much in place on any contract. And the agent can do a walkthrough, the one that you hired, and if it needs to be clean or upkept or changed or whatever, he can do that, and it's at your expense, which is like a blessing. That would be awesome. But again, that's what they build into it. Oh, and then finally, and of course contingent on a home inspection, the sales are, which would be typical as well. And then at the very end, a lot of them talk about it. They recommend that you seek legal advice before signing this stuff. You know what I recommend? I recommend you read it line by line and digest it and sleep on it before you jump into it. There's a lot of if, ands, or buts and asterisks, and read below and look at page 2, paragraph C, subsection D. Just make sure. Please think about it. You don't have to use us. I don't really care who you use. I'd love you to use us. But again, that's not why I'm putting this out there. Just don't get trapped by nonsense. Not that they're all nonsense. I'm sure some of the people, as I looked on here and checked on the Internet, you can see I got 4 TVs to look at it on. We found, some of these agents are super high top producers. Just be careful, okay? Please. You should be able to sell your house at market value, not 80% of it. And right now in California, it depends on the market trend, but right now where we seem to be hitting some kind of stability and inventory's lacking, so I don't know if now is the best market to do that type of a pitch at 80% below market value. Yeah, it's great for agents because we get those things in escrow rather quick. But again, there's so much of a lacking of inventory out there and a lot of buyers just trying to buy something. I don't know if now is a good time for that. Anyway, Connor McIver, if you need us, we're Paris911.com. It was my honor, and thanks for listening.